pressure of increasing controversies and voter unhappiness surrounding President Trump's administration. Consider what we've seen in just the last 24 hours.
Hello to everyone in Florida's 6th congressional district. We're just a few days away from an all-important special election taking place in your state on Tuesday, April 1st. You must go out and vote for Randy Fine.
That obviously Donald Trump. He was speaking at a teletown hall last night as Republican anxiety mounts over special elections for 2 deep red congressional seats in Florida, which are more competitive than they should be. That anxiety over the GOP's tight House majority is why Trump pulled Elise Stefanik's nomination for U.S. ambassador to the UN, worried the GOP couldn't hold that seat. And the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, which would typically be a snoozer, has turned into an early voting record breaker. Elon Musk said in this now deleted X post he was heading there to campaign after throwing big bucks behind the conservative candidate, making this the most expensive judicial race in U.S. history, an astonishing $100 million. Let's bring in Teddy Schleifer, who is a New York Times reporter who covers Elon Musk and other billionaires. He is also an MSNBC contributor. John Kasich is the former Republican governor of Ohio and an MSNBC political analyst. Joining me here in studio, Julie Roginski, a Democratic strategist and author of the Salty Politics newsletter on Substack. Great to have all of you here. Teddy, you've been reporting on Musk's efforts to insert himself into the Wisconsin Supreme Court election. And then, as we just mentioned, he deleted a post that he would be issuing $1 million checks to 2 voters there, although he didn't say he wasn't going. What's going on?
Yeah, so about a half hour ago or 20 minutes ago, Musk just tweeted again that he is indeed still going to Wisconsin. He's still giving that talk in the state, but he reprised or clarified, as it says on the screen, a previous post that, and I won't bore folks with all the legal questions here that go into detail, but essentially Musk is kind of returning to his initial structure for these $1 million giveaways in the state, where people are going to be signing a petition. Musk will basically be entering them into a sweepstakes, and he'll give out $1 million contributions directly to them. This sort of reflects Musk's shoot from the hip kind of style that has got him into trouble so many times in his business career, on Twitter specifically. Elon tweeted this shortly after 1 a.m. last night, and then 12 hours later, he has to do this kind of pretty high-profile walkback.
Yeah, Teddy, the most recent Quinnipiac poll shows 57% of registered voters nationwide have a negative opinion of Elon Musk. And while he may be able to get people to show up to an event by offering $1 million checks, I think the question that's out there is, can he actually influence voters?
Well, Republicans are primarily concerned about Schimmel's inability to do better with Republicans. And Elon Musk is popular with Republicans. The Musk, one of the Musk-backed outside groups has argued that if Schimmel could just do as well as Trump did in 2024, he would win. But part of the reason why you see Donald Trump closing ranks around Schimmel, endorsing him, and why you see Musk considering or now going through with his trip to the state is they don't really care that much about kind of turning out, middle of the road or convincing undecideds. They want to see, or as a priority at least, want to see Schimmel do better with conservative voters. So that's kind of why Musk and Trump are embracing Schimmel so much.
So, Julie, let's put this into bigger context. Elon Musk pumping money into the Wisconsin Supreme Court race and obviously going there. Trump pulling Elise Stefanik's name. Are these early warning signs for Republicans or maybe just hiccups?
The early warning came on Tuesday when Republicans lost a long-held state legislative seat, a state Senate seat in Pennsylvania, a seat that they've held for decades. But more importantly, Lancaster County, which is part of that district, has not elected a Democrat since the 19th century. They just elected a Democrat on Tuesday, a district that Donald Trump won by 15 points. It was an eke out for the Democrats, but nevertheless, it sent a strong message, not just for people in Pennsylvania, but I think to the president and to the White House that, oh my God, these seats that we've taken for granted all these years may be actually swinging in the opposite direction. I'm shocked that he didn't wait until the outcome of the Florida race to pull Elise Stefanik, because obviously if those 2 seats continue to be Republican, it'll give Mike Johnson more of a breathing room. But it does say that they're panicking about this, because otherwise there's no reason to pull Elise Stefanik especially because her seat is a Republican seat as well. They obviously must be worried that somebody else can't hold New York 21 the way that she can.
Yeah, one of the ways that Republicans are putting it, Governor, is she kind of took one for the team. But look, midterms are historically unkind to the party in the White House. So let's state that at the start. But is this what we're seeing? And some of the polls that we're seeing and the concerns that are out there about the economy. We got, new numbers today, worse than expected on inflation. Is this potentially much different than this historical thing that says, yeah, the party in the White House can do badly?
Well, Chris, I have information that people I've talked to this morning about this. And let me just kind of say where it is. I mean, I think a race in Pennsylvania, Julie makes a good point. It's just one of these special elections, but in Florida, I think the Republican is going to win the seat. It's going to be closer than people think. And I'm also told by informed sources that the Republicans are going to be victorious in Wisconsin as well. It's interesting when it comes to Stefanik. I think they are playing it. They are being more careful. And you're beginning to see people drift away from Trump. But what's also interesting, one observation I had from a friend of mine today, Congress is beginning to question the whole signal problem they have, Signalgate, as they're now beginning to call it. Now members of the House and the Senate are going to begin to be less, differential to Trump. They may actually ask some questions. They may push back. So this Signalgate may have an impact that no one's really been able to fathom yet. But when it comes to the overall situation in the country, Trump is somewhat weaker, but not to the point where it's so dramatic. Again, I think like I said, the race in Florida, the race in Wisconsin, but they are nervous about Stefanik. And I think Americans are increasingly concerned about the economy, and they're also increasingly concerned about the chaos. But it's still relatively early, and the average person out here across the country haven't felt all this. They're just watching, and they don't like a lot of what they see, and they particularly don't like the situation with the economy. So the administration has challenges, and I don't think Signalgate, by the way, is going to go away. I think we're going to keep hearing about it, and it's sort of the drip, 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 and what they should have done is said, we screwed up, that's the end of it, but somehow they're not capable of saying that.
Well, let me ask you about this new Wall Street Journal op-ed, if I can then, Governor. Karl Rove wrote it about Tuesday's races that are coming up. This is what he said. Their first major electoral report card on President Trump's new term. A win is a win, but the margin does matter. A close election would show Democratic enthusiasm can generate higher turnout and lots more money. And when they generate money that's spent in places that should be easy, now I'm adding this, that should be easy for Republicans to win. That's not something Republicans like to do. And let me add one more thing about Wisconsin. I'm not pretending to know who's going to win that race, but this is a race in an off year for a judgeship that 500,000 people have early voted. Doesn't that tell you something about the electorate and their motivation and their thoughts, Governor, about what's going on in the world one way or another?
Well, when I watch Rachel Maddow now, and she's showing these protests, what's happening is there is a Democrat base out there that's starting to get stirred up. They are beginning
I'm sorry,
to
Governor, I have to interrupt you for a second. J.D. Vance is speaking, I assume, about Greenland and the administration's desire to take it. Let's listen.
Having good relations